Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope all is well. Colorado's loss to UCLA has Coach Prime wanting to make drastic changes. Their upcoming game against Oregon State, that will be a tough mountain to climb. We're going to talk about all this. Stay tuned. Guys, please do me a favor. Before we get into this video, please give us a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the bell notification so you can get updated on my latest content as it drops. All of that will be greatly appreciated by me. Hey guys, before we get started, do me a favor, go into the description section of this video. There you will find a list of all the players on the Colorado team that have YouTube pages. Make sure you check them out and subscribe today. All right, so I was reading an article here by Sports Illustrated, and they were saying that Coach Prime wants to make drastic changes after their loss against UCLA. Now, they're referencing his press conference post-game when he said you got to go out and get a new offensive line, and he talked about being one-dimensional. Okay, so they quoted Coach Prime here. He said the offensive line has to improve, Sanders said after Colorado's 28-16 road loss. It's a struggle to run the ball, and we got to figure out, because now you're a one-dimensional team, and it's easy to stop a team that they're one-dimensional, and that's who we are at this point in time. The big picture, you go out and get new linemen. That's the picture, and I'm gonna paint it perfectly. And they went on to say that UCLA was able to do just about anything they wanted defensively against Colorado last weekend, and it led them to racking up 7 sacks in one day. They had Colorado quarterback Shedeur Sanders scrambling for his life all game, and it was another strong outing from the defense. The Bruins relied heavily on their defense the entire season. So Coach Prime is right. I mean, you can't be one-dimensional and win these big ball games. I mean, if their offense is working on all cylinders and Shedeur is able to get off these passes and they win, that's pretty good, but you still cannot be one-dimensional. You have to have a balanced attack. I've been saying this on a couple of live chats, but Coach Prime is saying it himself. You can't be one-dimensional. Now, how can they not be one-dimensional? That's the question. He said that he talked to his offensive line.
Most of faith in them. Also, I had a private personal meeting with the whole offensive line, and the meeting was phenomenal. I have the utmost thought process that those guys are going to step it up tremendously, and you're going to see a more cohesive, more aggressive, more physical, more prepared group than ever before this weekend. I really do believe that.
And as you hear right there, he said it was a pretty good meeting. But here's the thing. How can you run the ball? Because he said they're having a hard time running the ball. But from the moments in the game where I saw them run the ball, I thought they did pretty well. I think they have to stay with the running attack. They just have to stick with it. And yeah, you might get stopped for -5 yards, but you can't stop the running game. Maybe you have to come up with creative plays to get this running game established. And I do believe once you get that running game established, that will help protect Shedeur Sanders. Now we know that Alton McCaskill, he decided to redshirt. So now we're -1 running back now, even though they didn't use him really much this season. But they still have pretty good running backs. Anthony Hankerson has been solid. Dylan Edwards, I could see them throwing to him in the flat and doing different things to utilize his speed. Savion Wilkerson is a bruiser. I could see him getting a lot of positive yards, but they have to stick with this running game. But we'll see if they do it against Oregon State. Now, I'm turning my attention now to Oregon State, because Oregon State is going to be a problem. And why do I say that? So first thing is we're going to look at their schedule. We're going to look at their last game of the season, of last season. That was against Florida. They beat Florida 30-0. And I'm just looking at their schedule here. This game against Washington State, they lost that game. Now, Utah is rather interesting. They beat Utah 21-7. And I've been hearing a lot of things about Utah this year. Like, oh man, Max, Utah is pretty tough. But they beat Utah. Now, going to the UCLA game, Oregon State, they beat UCLA 36-24. Now, we all know we had some problems against UCLA, but Oregon State was able to manage the game and beat UCLA despite their great defense. And talking about defense for a second, we're going to go to Oregon State's stats here, and I just wanted to see how many sacks did they have against UCLA. They had a total of 5 sacks on the quarterback against UCLA. And to note, UCLA got half sacks. Not one of their guys had a full sack. And but you see here, Oregon State was able to get to the UCLA quarterback 5 times. And Calvin Hart Jr. was able to sack the quarterback 2 times. This is going to be problematic here. We're going to have to figure out a way to protect Shedeur Sanders because Oregon State is nothing to play with. And I believe Shedeur was sacked a total of 7 times during that UCLA game. And he was hit a god-awful a lot of times. They hit him at least 17 or 18 times he took shot. And this cannot happen against Oregon State. They got to figure out a way to protect Shedeur. Does that mean implementing the running game, which in my opinion, I think so. And I'm going off of what Coach Prime said. He said they're one-dimensional. They cannot be one-dimensional going into this Oregon State game or it's going to get ugly. But is this a winnable game? Of course it's a winnable game if you keep Shedeur upright, because with his talents and his skill set, he could beat anybody in the country. But you have to give him an opportunity to perform. And as of right now, Coach Prime said he met with the offensive line and he said everything is up. And so we're going to see what happens this upcoming Saturday for their homecoming game. This is a homecoming game, and it's a late game, just to note. It starts 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But here's my question to you. Is it all on the offensive line? That's my question to you, because they're not going with the running game. They have abandoned the running game. Against UCLA, their main running backs only got a few touches. And the stats tell the whole story. They just was passing the whole game. So if you're passing the whole game, all they have to do is throw the house at you, right? The offensive line cannot block everyone. It's not really all on the offensive line. We did look over a few plays where they blew a few plays, but it's going to happen. You're going to get beat sometime and the quarterback is going to get sacked. But like Coach Prime said, if you just pass heavy and you're one-dimensional, the teams, they know exactly how to prepare for you. I could see Oregon State coming out the same way. They're going to come out gunning. They're going to come out gunning for this team, and they're going to be throwing the house. I saw one play with UCLA, right? The one defender, he was supposed to be sticking, he's supposed to be not sticking, he was supposed to be guarding Xavier Weaver, but he was like pointed at Shedeur area. He didn't even care about the wide receiver at this point, because they know that their strategy was, let's throw the house because they can't block everybody. And as long as we disrupt Shedeur Sanders, he's not going to be able to get it to his great wide receivers. And that was the game plan, and it worked. And but early on in the game, they were able to manage the Colorado defense were able to manage UCLA. They were able to manage them. It was a low score going into halftime. So that's a plus for this team. Travis Hunter had 2 interceptions. Shiloh Sanders will be back. He forced a fumble. He was out there hitting. Their defense looked really, really, really good. But like I said again, you got to find a way to protect number 2. If you can't protect number 2, then this Oregon State game is going to get ugly. And to make matters worse, I don't want to see him get hurt. Now, the last game against UCLA, it was said that he had to take an injection for the pain, and that's not good. And I honestly believe this offensive line for Colorado can implement the run, because they did before. I remember when Dylan Edwards broke free at TCU, their offensive lineman, I believe it was Jack Bailey, he was 30 yards up the field. So I believe they can run block. You just have to give these kids an opportunity. This comes down to the coaching as well. You have to give these kids an opportunity to perform. You got to implement the running game. You got to give them opportunity. Don't get discouraged. I mean, if the run is -5 yards, this is a game of inches. You got to take this is my opinion now, you got to take this 10 yards at a time, because it takes 10 yards to get a first down. You take it 10 yards at a time. It might be a slow, boring game that you guys are accustomed to, but you have to slow the clock down and manage the time. And the only way you're going to do that is implement a running game. Jet sweeps or bootleg plays, or throwing to the flat. If you see they throwing the house at you, you know that flat is open. The flat has to be open, So that's just my humble opinion on it. I'm looking forward to this Oregon State game now, because this is going to be a pivotal game. Even Coach Prime just saying he wants to win, but they're just 2 games away from being bowl eligible. And for me, that's an ultimate success. I mean, this team was 1-11 last year. Now they're bowl eligible. I mean, you can't write a better script. Now, this is my other point I want to get to, because this was brought up on the live chat last night. Coach Prime on the sidelines. Is he really coaching? I do see him coaching on the sidelines, because when the kids come off the field, he's talking to them. So he is coaching them. Now, his style of coaching might not be like a Andy Reid or a Nick Saban, where he's constantly on that microphone barking back and forth between his defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. He's not really doing that. At least I don't see it. But he's not a micromanager. He's letting them do their job. Okay, he's letting them do their job. He said, okay, you're the offensive coordinator. I trust you to work these plays. Now go do it. Also, the defensive coordinator, I trust you to work these plays. Now go do it. Me personally, if I was in that position, I would be heavily involved in those play calls. I'm like, okay, what plays do you have? Okay, we need a running play. What do you have? Do you have any trick plays in the arsenal? Give me 3 trick plays so I can give to the quarterback so we can figure out what we're going to do. And you got to do this on the fly. You know, I see a lot of coaches heavily involved. He's not really heavily involved from what I see, though. But to be fair, the camera is not always on him. So we don't really see him going back and forth with the offense and defensive coordinator. But what I do see is when the kids are coming off the field, he's actually talking to them. You know, if he has something to say, he's coaching. So I do see him doing that. But as far as him, you know, acting like a Nick Saban, he's not Nick Saban. He's not Andy Reid. He's not Bill Belichick. He's Coach Prime. So he do it his way. Now, my question to you is, do you think Coach Prime need to get more involved? How do you feel about that? Drop a comment below. I would like to hear from you about that, because I know in the live chat we really talked about that. And so that I would like to hear from you on, like, what do you think about that? But again, you got to be fair, though. When he's on the sidelines, we don't see him all the time. But when the camera pans to him, he is kind of just standing there. That's Coach Prime. Now, as far as Coach Prime comment saying that we have to get a new offensive line, that's frustration. I mean, he's seeing his son out there getting pummeled, and the only way to fix that is to get a new offensive line. But is it really? It's gonna, like he said, it's gonna be very difficult to recruit and get the cream of the crop offensive linemen to come in. But that's where the recruiting come in at. You're going to have to go out there and dig deep in the recruiting. And I believe they could find them in the JUCO. There's a lot of good ones in the JUCO, and we never know what the portal is going to open up. It might be a star from another team that say, look, I'm going into the portal. I heard that you're not hard to find. So yeah, I'm going into the portal now. That could be the case as well. But that leads me to recruiting. Coach Prime is going to be in contention for all of these recruits, just like the major schools. And that poses a problem for other coaches. I mean, he came in his first year in the Power 5 and he's getting all this notoriety and attention. And they probably feel slighted by that. But why is he getting this notoriety and attention? It's just because of who he is. He played 2 sports. I mean, it's been like that his whole career. So the attention comes with it, whether they're winning or losing. The remainder of the games that they play this year are going to be sold out. The games next year are going to be sold out. Okay, the attention on Coach Prime is not going to stop. The way they tackle social media is like I have never seen before. I've never seen any other coaches around the NCAA, as far as football or basketball, attack social media the way him and his crew and his son is attacking social media, the way they embrace social media. Now, in other teams, you do have players with social media profiles, but they don't quite work it how this family work their social media. Okay, it's like a reality show that everyone is following. You don't think these other players around the country is following it? Like, oh, I'm going to be playing them soon. That's why they're up for this game. That's why they up to play them. They got this game circled on their calendars to play them. And yeah, you're going to have recruits wanting to be a part of that. So it's going to be rather interesting in the off season to see what happens with that transfer portal. We're going to see what players are going to leave the team, because you know you always have players wanting to leave and transfer everywhere else. You're going to have that as well. You're going to have them going out in the transfer portal, getting a few JUCOs and a few experienced guys. But this is what I'm paying attention to. Can he flip some stars from other teams like Georgia, Alabama, Florida State? Can he do that? Get some experienced players that are like sophomores. You know, they're not quite ready to go to the NFL yet because they're going into their junior season. Can he get those players? But that's all I have for you today. Drop a comment below. I'd like to hear your comments. You know, it goes down in the comment section. Guys, until next one, I'll catch you later. Peace. Guys, please do me a favor. Before we get into this video, please give us a like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, hit the bell notification so you can get updated on my latest content as it drops. All of that will be greatly appreciated by me.